Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So, guys, we did a video yesterday. We put up late, Vedic astrology uncovering past lives and destiny. And I just wanted to show you, because you still get a lot of people that question things. There's always a click down. If you click the click down, you'll see it'll give you our email address. I'm going to be removing the Proton Mail one, as Proton Mail is just loaded with just spam, and you wouldn't think it's the case, but it's just horrible. So you could just reach us at evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com, and then you have links to over here, medicinal foods, great people, and links also to our website and the other channels, the Bitchute, Brighteon, and Rumble as well. So everything is right there on each video, every single video. Please do subscribe if you haven't to both channels. There's a chance you could have been unsubscribed, as this is what they do on a regular basis. And we do want to thank those that are supporting us over on Patreon. On Patreon, we got 46 people at the $1 a month level. But, you know, every dollar does help. Times are getting to be tougher for everybody. Everybody. We totally understand that. And yet, you know, the reality is, you know, with us, we really don't really make anything off the videos of any significance per se. So we keep ourselves afloat through the goodwill of those that support us at Patreon, Ko-Fi, and then also those that do reach out for energy work, spiritual coaching, Vedic astrology charts. That's how we, you know, are able to feed ourselves the pups and pay the bills.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I mean, Mike and I don't eat so much, but the pups are still growing, and they are such amazing protectors. So yes, we do make sure they get their food, because for them that's their pay. So we really appreciate every dollar that comes in, you guys. Thank you.
Yes, we do. And we want to keep sharing with you everything that we keep learning. Again, check us out at evolutionaryenergyarts.com to learn more about us and testimonials of those that have worked with us over the years. As we were mentioning earlier, medicinal foods, again, when you do order through them, 15% goes towards supporting our work. And, you know, these are just good guys, and they are actually supporters over on Ko-Fi and Patreon too. So they're family members. They've been with us for, I want to say, 5 of the 6 years, pretty much around that. Lots of good stuff for detoxing. So this was from November 30th this year. Dozens of cattle slaughtered by mystery creature that left no tracks. Now, if you guys are familiar with the UFO phenomenon, which does tie into the demonic phenomenon that we see throughout the ages, you know, it is all tied together. And we will have people that will argue forever about it being, no, those are demons. Those are not extraterrestrials. And, you know, again, if we want to technically go by labels, some of these are not extraterrestrial because they have their origin here on Earth. And then some are extraterrestrial that don't have their origins here on Earth. Their origins are somewhere else. Many are multidimensional, able to operate in 3D, 4D, thankfully not so much on 5D, as most of these beings that are of that dark nature are stuck in the lower 4th density. That's their home. Their home is basically what we would call the hellish realms. And that is really where we have our toes planted right now, guys. You know, if you're wondering why the world is in chaos, it's because we are in lower 4th D, or entering the lower 4th density. This is their home turf. This is, you know, again, we have to kind of, it's a trial by fire, so to speak, what we're finding ourselves in. And in order to get past this to where we would call the more heavenly realms, we got to come through this dark journey of the soul area.
Yeah, that's really a whole nother video. I really want to cover more about Dark Night of the Soul, because it's true. It's a real thing. It can be a very, very, very difficult time in many of our lives, and emotionally as well as physically, when we're moving into alignment. Sometimes we have to cross those lines of trauma to get into the right path. So it is, we're going through a tough time. Be good to yourself. Be very kind to yourself. Most of all, be forgiving of yourself. If you've made mistakes, you've made mistakes. You learn from them and you move on and you remember those lessons. And guess what? That just brings you more wisdom. So mistakes are actually an opportunity for really superior growth. So be good to yourself.
Definitely. And here we have dozens of cattle in Colorado been slaughtered over the past 2 months by an elusive predator that's left no tracks. In October 18, dead cows were found just outside the town of Meeker. Some looked as though they were killed by wolves, but officials with Colorado Parks and Wildlife found no wolf tracks or evidence of a predator in the area. In the 2 months that local wildlife experts have searched for a culprit, at least 40 calves have died. The rancher who lost the calves, Jerry Klagelsmith, wrote in the fence post what he thinks might have happened. The most likely scenario would have been the following. An apparent canine attack may have triggered the onset of a still inconclusive cause of death, he wrote. So this is a mystery one. You know, they say the cows may have been infected with blackleg, which is a disease caused by the Clostridium bacteria. And so far, they don't have any definitive answers. You know, there's 3 articles here talking about these perplexing attacks. Well, you know, this just gets me thinking of all our myths and legends, and we still have these things handed down, legends of werewolves and of vampires and legends of all sorts of scary things that go bump in the night. Well, you know, there is a basis for these things. There is a basis, and it all has to do, again, with the cycle of the yugas and where we are, and the fact that we do have beings that are able to transverse dimensions. Many of the Bigfoot sightings were, and I've seen it too, I've seen tracks that I associate with Bigfoot that then when followed, they ended at a tree and they're gone. Just gone. It's like, where did it go? Well, again, there are beings that know, because they kind of live right on the cusp of 2 different densities, 2 different realities. They know how to shift their own personal frequency and vibration so that they appear to be solid, and then that they're just gone.
I mean, they're gone to the 3D, but, right, you know, only to the 3D. So they're very, very much there. And it does seem as though some entities, they are able to use technology, but then other entities, and they have the ability to do it in an organic state, in a natural state. It's just something that they have mastered from one lifetime to the next. But there are others who use technology. So that's a little different, but the same.
Yes, absolutely. There are technologies involved as well. So again, this is a string of gruesome attacks that are leaving people baffled. The experts are baffled. Mutilations. This has happened all throughout our history. Cattle mutilations, unexplained livestock mutilations have been reported for centuries. Explanations range from common predators to UFOs. But when you get them so that the eyes, the ears, the udders, the anuses, the sex organs, and the tongues totally removed, seemingly with very sharp, clean instrument, perhaps even lasers, because of the lack of blood found. Their carcasses have been drained of blood. No tracks, footprints found in immediate vicinity, nor were there any of the usual opportunistic scavengers. And sometimes, too, you'll find that the ones that are handled this way, instead of nature taking care of the carcass, nature avoids the carcass. It's like they don't want to have anything to do with it. Now, you know, in New Mexico, in Nevada, but in New Mexico, man, we uncovered a lot of that. We had a lot of that we didn't really want to share too much with you guys. But yeah, we found, dead rabbits, you know, with complete circular holes just in a couple of spots, all the internal organs removed, no blood, nothing had eaten them, and the cuts were just perfect. They were so precise, so perfect, and it felt like a direct attack on us because Sassy used to like to go play with those rabbits every day when we go for our walk. They were, living on the property, and she didn't mean any harm to them, and she didn't do any harm to them. But where do we find them? Right at the back door. It was like, and the whole back area was fenced in. It was fenced in. It was like they were dropped or placed perfectly on the back door in order to show us. And, this gives you an idea as to the nature of the beings that are doing this. Yes, they are demonic. And so, demonic is in nature. It's a tendency. It's the way something acts. And I would put it out there that demonic activity is what we would take as a negative form of activity that doesn't have any sort of compassion towards anything else.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's very much a nature. It's a state of being. It's a being with inclinations that it can't seem to help. It's just propelled to do things a certain way, and really, that's just the way they are. It's a place. I'm sure it has its purpose, but in our world, I don't want it in my world at all.
No, but at the same time, with something that is always on the periphery around us, and has been. When we were in the Southwest, in the little cabin there in New Mexico, we were on 15 acres next to ranches and homesteads of multiple hundred acres. So we were very, very isolated, and we could feel and sense, and we would know. I mean, we've had encounters with what you would call chupacabras and skinwalkers, and we've found so many bizarre animal mutilations ourselves over the years, and footprints, and we still do have quite a few things that we could roll through and share some photos with you guys. When we get more time. We did share that one photo that they hate sharing, and we've shared a ton actually over the years. If you've been with us for 5 years or more, we've been doing this for 6 years, you've seen a lot of unusual things that we've gotten firsthand. And you see Oregon over here, cow mutilation spark conspiracy theories. A lot of people lean towards the aliens. Well, with good reason. Let's talk about these cattle mutilations. This has just been ongoing. This goes all the way back to when the European settlers first came here. And then yet the indigenous people are very aware of it. Some of these photos are not going to be pleasant, guys, just to let you know. These are not things that are done by predators. Predators don't do this. They'll mangle, eat, tear, chew. They don't do circular holes. They don't remove, and they will remove the internal organs and eat those first. Cats tend to do that, but not in such a precise way that everything else stays intact. No. There's something else going on with here. And what it is actually related in many ways to these guys. Because these guys, these are worker bees. Now, again, there are many different types of grays, but most of the grays we encounter here are created in reality for use here on planet Earth to be worker bees in many different ways. And a lot of these beings are literally created from the DNA that's taken from the cattle mutilations. Mm-hmm. And you should see the look on Cindy's face right now.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. It's really horrible. And many times, when you're faced with information that is that morbid, we tend to just want to shut the door, close the curtain. And sometimes we need to. We can't just delve too deeply into that, but there is value in knowing and understanding what truly goes on around you, because when you understand the influences out there, you know how to start to properly protect yourself, and you have a better idea of what might be possibly going on around you. If things are just awry, if you're in a really bad mood, you suddenly snap. These entities, they might have something to do with it. So I mean, there is a place where there's personal responsibility, and we should all have that. But if you're really out of character, sometimes these beings can be around and change the vibration in the room, which can actually change you. And that's why it's so important to really get a good understanding of yourself. Understand who you are. Grab your center. So when something like this happens, you know that you know that you know, it's not you.
No, and you know what part of what triggered me thinking about this is from Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. Now, yes, you can find this same subject in Daily Mail and The Guardian and all those tabloids that you might feel are a little bit more of a extreme, just trying to sell copies thing. But yeah, what they're finding with the Neuralink testing that Elon Musk's group is behind, just horrors. Horrible treatment of animals, thousands of animals brutalized, treat horribly. Again, each animal, whether people want to recognize it or not, again, it's an individual soul that can suffer, that has all the emotions that humans have, and again, they're just operating out of a different vehicle at this point in time. So, this just shows you the true nature of Elon Musk, and again, of our entire culture. As we're always, you have this thing where, again, I like to call it savior syndrome. People are always looking for somebody to come and get things right, set things right. Come free us, come save us. Come reform this world for us. No, we have to do it. We have to say no. It's up to us. There's a human tendency towards laziness in some ways. We are the ones we're waiting for. We have to speak up. Don't be suckered in by another smiling face, somebody else that knows how to, be a little comedic. He's obviously way more personable than Bill Gates or the sickle maker. He's more fun in many ways, but he's got just as dark an energy surrounding him, and we need to realize that.
Yeah, I mean, there's an agenda there. There's definitely an agenda, and it goes with the nature of where he's at. So he does follow a certain code, a certain line of information, and that's just the way he is. You can look at things not necessarily good, not necessarily bad, but you know that thing is not for you, so to be avoided.
Absolutely. So you might get these conceptions, and these are not distorted conceptions. There is a basis in reality to the fact that, on many of these extraterrestrial alien abduction cases, they will see beings, all sorts of beings, human animal hybrids, complete extraterrestrials that you'd be at a loss for words to try to explain, and many humanoid beings in these stasis chambers in some sort of fluid. The reality with the grays is it's more akin to an egg, is what they are cultivated in, and they are in some sort of amniotic fluid of sorts that is nourishing them as they grow. Again, now we can understand virgin births, and no, Yeshua, in fact, wasn't really a virgin birth from our understanding at all, and it doesn't demean Mary at all that she wouldn't give a virgin birth to Yeshua. Again, this is all just distortions. We choose to come in here and we utilize, again, certain principles of time and where the stars are in order to achieve the greatest success in our mission. So, again, there's nothing wrong with being birthed the right way, the natural way. And in fact, again, we're getting to the point where Homo sapiens sapiens, if you want any more Homo sapiens sapiens, it probably won't be through the natural way. If you give it another generation or two, it's just not going to work because of everything that has been put out there into our bodies, into the ether, and into our DNA. These are worker bees. Again, those grays are abundant. They are utilizing the DNA from these cattle mutilations. Sometimes they use other species DNAs. Yes, if you're thinking what I think you're thinking, you're correct there too. Most of the time, though, it is bovine, and then they're cultivated. But of course, they're always merging different DNAs. They're always trying to create better worker bees. That's part of what we have going on right now. That's part of what humanity's facing, is the desire to create a better worker bee. bee, because that's all they have as far as an interest with you in mind. It's a worker bee, and it's also utilizing that God spark, that source energy that's inside every human. They want to utilize it very much like in the Matrix sense. You know, humans are batteries. Every soul is a battery, so to speak, because every soul has some of source, that inherent God spark within us.
And this goes back to, you know, how they send us for education or indoctrination, but they only teach us the things that they need us to know to run their businesses, to run their corporations. And many, many people right now are having jobs that they know they are not in alignment with. They know that it's wrong for them. It hurts them. You know, there might be a purpose for you being there right now, and many times that's to enlighten the area, but there will come a point when you're done. You know, this part of your life is done and you're going to do something else now, but they're going to still need beings to carry on with that information and keep doing what they need done so they can run their corporations.
Absolutely. You know, again, this is an intergalactic, interdimensional battle. And we are now going into the vibrational frequency that puts us back to where many of these beings are going to appear to be completely physical to us. Yet they will still have the ability sometimes to pop in and pop out of our reality, but we will be catching them more often manifested. They will leave telltale signs. They will, and often be the case, you'll be able to hear them, maybe see them, maybe feel them. Again, this is where we are heading. This is how it was in the past, and you know, this is the reason why we see all these depictions of the beings like the Anunnaki right in front of humans, appearing totally solid, of the same density. And then we have all these legends of demons, of incubus and succubus, of vampires and werewolves, and all sorts of different cryptids. And really the fact of the matter is they never really went anywhere. It's just that our own ability to perceive them changed as our density, our vibrational frequency slowed. Now it's sped up to where they are going to be starting to appear, and they are starting to appear more and more solid all the time. You're going to have way more sightings of UFOs and aliens and things along those lines, way more cryptid sightings. It's just natural. It's just par for the course. And so, you know, again, we want to let people know ahead of time so that you don't find yourself shocked so much when you do encounter them. So the little ones are under the control of these tall grays, and this is just how their delegation works. The tall grays, they report to what you might often call Nordic-looking Pleiadians, which Cindy again calls the fallen Pleiadians. And again, these are beings that are on fourth density now, and they are over these guys. And of course, then the Draco overshadowed them. And then the AI component is everywhere around us in this battle. And that AI component, as we've equated it often to the alien movies and the black goo, it's a very, very apt representation of that. It's literally in the air we breathe. Again, there's many different layers to all these programs that are underway. It's in the water, it's in the food, it's in the air. So what do you got to do? Well, you got to keep your vibration high. You have to get it as high as possible, because when your vibration's high, it can't stand to be in you. It'll find its way out of you. It'll want to get out of you because you're going to be basically incompatible with it. This is the other part of what's going on with humanity. It's all part of making humanity compatible with the controllers and all their AI technology.
And you know, we got to take a look at all the things that we take in on a daily basis that lower our vibration. And just so happens to be, this stuff is plentiful. They have plenty of processed foods for us to eat. They have plenty of soda pops, things, you know, like Red Bull and Monster. All of that stuff is very bad for us. It can lower our vibration and put us in the clutches of these beings a little more readily, or a little more assuredly. So we have to look at things in our lives that's going to raise the vibration. And gosh, what you put in your body is so critical. It's so critical, because that helps your vibration raise up, and then you're not so, you're out of grasp from these little entities. At least you're a little bit further out of the way, and that can really make a world of difference.
So in reality, it's like there's job openings, and this guy wants to be your supervisor. Yeah. You don't want that. You definitely don't want that. And again, we've had close encounters with these guys on a regular basis. Actually, there's been at least one of these assigned to watch over us from a distance at all times. And same thing with many of you out there. So we could see where this is all going. We could see the bigger plan. You got to realize, again, to them, Earth is just basically one big pasture land filled up with their herds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's just so incredible. But once you have an understanding of what's going on, you know, the shock value that could happen is no longer useful to the controllers, because at least you have a clue. You have some idea of what is going on, and you know that there are things you can do about it. I think one of the things that they rely on is that shock value to help, because that can lower your vibration. If you fall into a state of shock, that can put you within their grasp. So much better off doing your best to raise that vibration, eating the right foods, taking really good care of yourself, finding a spiritual practice, because then at least you have a deeper, stronger understanding of what's going on, and you can push them back away from you.
As we've talked about Phil Schneider numerous times, he was a government geologist and engineer with over 17 years of experience working on black projects, and is one of the most important whistleblowers in modern history. In September 1995, he gave a presentation at the Preparedness Expo, which he exposed the NWO and how it connects with extraterrestrials. During this speech, he presented physical evidence of alien metals and artifacts, along with additional photographs to validate his claims. Less than 6 months later, after giving the presentation, he was found dead in his apartment with a piano wire wrapped around his neck, in what would mostly be classified as a military-style execution. You know, again, did he get rich? Was he? No, he was just sharing what he had found, and again, they took him out. And as long as people keep thinking that this is just humans, that the top of the food chain is a Red Shield or a Rocky Feller, you're not getting the big picture. You're not getting the big picture. And, you know, it's demonic, but it's not all demons. No, and it's not all just on Earth. You know, this whole universe truly is teeming with life. And, you know, we are one species, and we're only a species while we're inhabiting these vehicles, because ultimately we're consciousness, and this is a temporary thing. And yet when we do leave this body in a negative way, a quick traumatic way, as we were making contact, we made contact with another person that had left maybe 20-something years ago, is still on the, well, I would say that's the in-between, which is, yeah, he's in the in-between, what we would call the in-between, which, you know, I got another video lined up mentally I want to share with you guys to give you a better idea of where our legends come from, because things are so just insanely distorted, so that everything is upside down, inside out. They get you coming, they get you going, they tell you who the bad guy is, and yet they get you sending your energy and feeding the bad guy at the same time. This is how twisted this reality is. But again, it is pretty simple at the same time. As long as we are sharing ourselves in a compassionate way with others, trying to always do our best for all around us, always trying to serve the greater good. And again, they'll take that urge and they'll distort it. They'll get you thinking in egocentric ways. You'll get people thinking in a nationalistic way. Well, the greater good is this nationality, that nationality, this type of political system, that type of political... No, 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 no. Throw all those labels away. Throw them all away. Labels, the labeling of us. Well, what are you guys? You believe in Yeshua, but you're not Christian. You got to recognize everything that we're given. And our language is given to us by these dark beings. The English language itself is a curse and a spell. And this is what we eventually understand when we start to unravel the picture.
And we are beings, where there really is no putting a label on us that would take away from everything that we do explore, and it would also isolate us and put us in a box. So we are beings. We want to understand and explore our world, explore who we are, what are our abilities, help other people. So there's a plethora of things we could be, and that's just what we do.
And these beings only have power over you if you allow them to. That's one of the key things to take out of this. Again, the real us, as is said in the Bhagavad Gita, the Atman, the eternal self cannot be destroyed by fire. And so again, when you see this, the whole silliness of what's pounded into our consciousness, about, the second death, and you will be thrown into the lake of fire. Well, when you're out of the body, you don't really feel cold, you don't feel heat. So right there, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen because we don't have those sensations when we're out of the body. So right there, that just shows you that whole concept is just them. It's just them trying to instill fear and get you to obey them because, they're all about control. And yet the soul is eternal. And we have several of our friends, so to speak. You could view them as casual guides. They're just people. They're just people that want to relay to us what they are discovering on the other side. And, they're people that were traumatized enough so that they haven't gone through the regular review. They're not getting ready for another incarnation. And yet they're watching what's happening. They're sharing with us what's happening. They're tattling on them. They're tattling on the grays. They're tattling on all the dark beings, and they're sharing what they see. This is why there's a biblical prohibition about speaking with the dead, because the dead can tell you what they are doing. Again, they could tell you what the controllers are doing, and the fact that the controllers have given us our major religions, they've given us our politics, they've given us our medicine, they've given us all these things, and it's not for our benefit. It's to keep us in the pen.
That's what they want to do most of all, and they actually have humans tattling on other humans, and if you do step out of the construct, you can get shunned. You can get thrown out. People can just ignore you because suddenly they think that you're evil and you're possessed and you're making mistakes, when really we're just exploring and finding an understanding and knowing that we are not locked in a box, that we can explore these things and know, we're not sinning, and we're not going to go get thrown in the lake of fire. We just are curious.
Exactly. When you're out of your physical body, you could travel right through the sun and not get burned. Again, this is the greater reality of things. So we hope you guys found this interesting and informative. As always, we thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Do reach out to us, Evolutionaryenergyarts.com, if you want a Vedic chart. And right there on the front page of Evolutionaryenergyarts.com, it gives you the typical donations that people make for these things. And also check out Medicinal Foods, link on every video. Much love. Keep your vibration high.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.